Well, hello there, how is everyone? I hope you're well. It's me, it's him. I don't think he's going to stay around for long. But here's Casper. How big has Casper got? How big have you got, Cat? That's it. He's had a gutful. So, and I'm now caked in fur. Anyway, this is video 2. 2 of 2. You know the drill. While I try it, it's done, isn't it? Ignore the fur. So, look. I'm doing this video because a lot of people have reached out regarding the Sean Daugherty case. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the case, I'm just going to give a very, very brief overview of it, but after this video, go and check out the other video that I did earlier if you haven't seen that one, and then go and watch the playlist. There are multiple playlists, no, one playlist, multiple videos surrounding this case, and the words used in that video are the words of Sean's mum, straight out of the mouth. So look, Sean Daugherty is a little boy who was found unalived, and it was ruled as, and hold on a second, because it's a little more complicated than that. It was ruled as a self-deletion. The boy done it to himself. But he was found in a situation which some would say is impossible for him to do it himself, such as arms tied tightly to his side, utilising a belt, and a bag over his head. His glasses that he relied on to see were strewn. He was barefooted but clean-feeted, and clean-feeted. I think that's a word. It is now. Look, if you are the grammar police, you're not welcome here. You're not welcome here. So yeah, so this situation, it was a situation that most would deem unlikely to be done by himself. But that's how it was ruled. Now, the case has never been officially closed. So there is an update for you. The case is officially still open, but there is just no further involvement from law enforcement with respect of the investigation. And some would say that very much like the Kylie Rodney case, they will continue to leave this case open, because as soon as the case is closed and officially concluded, then it gives everybody through the Freedom of Information Act to obtain information on the investigation. And it seems to me that what I've learned about the American judicial system is that they are very good at hiding what they don't want the public to see through utilising methods such as leaving cases that they claim have been finished but not in effect closed. Happens a lot. But in this case, in terms of movements forwards, where are we right now? We're not in a much different place. Like I say, there has been no further input from law enforcement, and they have deemed it as a self-deletion. But there has been questions surrounding this case because of one major element of it. And that was, look, that the brother, Sean's brother, would turn around and say that someone else came into the property, a friend of Sean's. It was likely that someone else, during this time with which this happened, somebody else known to Sean entered the property and got into this situation. Whether they were messing about, whether they were fighting, there's mixed sort of statements being made, but it would certainly seem that Sean was not alone with his younger sibling during this amount of time. There was somebody else in the house, and if you can trust what the youngster is saying, then it would appear that it was another child. Now, what some are believing is a potential here is that Sean had somehow got involved in the TikTok Blackout challenge, whether he was coerced into doing so by this other, at this stage, mystery friend. But for those of you who are unaware of what the TikTok Blackout Challenge is, which you probably don't know because TikTok have subsequently blocked any attempt to search it via their platform, and it just comes up with a warning. But there has been multiple lawsuits filed against TikTok for this Blackout Challenge. It was a challenge that would seemingly be aimed specifically towards children of Sean's age and even younger, and has been held accountable. Well, I say held accountable. No, they haven't been held accountable, but stick a pin in that for a second. It has been connected to around 20 deaths in children. where they use things such as shoelaces and laces to render themselves unconscious in the hope to be brought back around after being left unconscious. But again, in multiple cases, the child has been rendered deceased because of it. Again, now they have tried to hold TikTok accountable. TikTok have faced multiple lawsuits, but they have fought and won every single one. There's something to do with the law which protects them. And what that is basically saying, look, TikTok is a platform. They provide a platform for people to access certain things. They can police that to a degree, but they cannot be held responsible for what an individual does with the information that is provided. And that's very much something that we see across all social media platforms. And, you know, some may say, look, it's like going back to what we've touched on this channel before. It's like when somebody does something, they try and blame a video game for it. Look, it's not the video game's fault that the person who happened to watch the video game is a raving fucking psycho. So, look, it's a difficult one. It's always going to raise upset and raise complaint. But my best advice to parents would be to police what your children have access to. And if you know that things like TikTok could potentially leave them open to seeing things like this, then you have to make a decision whether that's something that you want to allow your child to have access to, or if you're going to allow them access to it, how heavily you should be policing that access. But ultimately, you can't stop things being put on the internet just because some people will react to it in a certain way. It's a grey area, and just police your fucking children properly. If you're gonna have access to stuff, then police that access. But yeah, some thoughts are certainly that there was a potential, this person who entered the property, who was known to Sean, had potentially coerced him into perhaps being involved in this situation, which would then lead the question as to, do law enforcement not want to investigate this? Now, some have said that basically the sheriff involved in this case was running for state senate, and there has been accusations made that potentially he didn't want an unsolved child murder over his head during this process. So is that an incentive as to why this was deemed so quickly to be a self-deletion, so on and so forth? But the self-deletion has never made sense, and I apologise for referencing it in this manner, but I'm on YouTube, and ultimately I don't beg for money, so I do depend on ad revenue, and ad revenue keeps the lights on, so to speak, so I don't have to ask you guys for money. So we do have to play by the rules. So yeah, self-deletion is how we have to say. But look, at the end of the day, he was found in the position he was found, and he was wearing his stepdad's clothes. So you could argue that even if this blackout challenge was nothing to do with the Sean Daugherty case, then what was the relevance of the little boy being dressed in his stepfather's clothes? Could that have been a nod to the boy having suffered at the hands of the stepfather, and did that in itself, even though it potentially held no bounds to offer any further offering towards what happened, it wasn't even looked into. It wasn't, you know, they very, very quickly just said, no, we know what happened, he did it, that's it, case done. But we're going to leave it open just so you can't get your hands on anything to do with the case. But let me know down below what you think. That is all I can give you at the moment. I have spoken to family members of Sean's, albeit very briefly. Like I say, there is a playlist if you want to familiarise yourself with it further. I believe there is still a GoFundMe or changes.org petition to get law enforcement to start investigating the case again further. And you can find that just by Googling Sean Daugherty changes petition. There is also a Facebook group, What Happened to Sean, and there is updates on that page as well if you yourself are on Facebook. But for now, that is it. As updates come in, I will obviously update you with what is going on. But at the moment, like I say, this case has kind of hit a plateau. There's stalled. There is nothing really moving, and there is speculation in the background. But certainly, the thing to me that holds the absolute most credence is that this mysterious mystery person who came into the property, who seems to be known by Sean, this does hold some weight, and it's just interested as to why there's a potential for that not being looked into. Let's not forget that Sean's parents were employed by the Pentagon, so it makes you wonder whether this potential other child had potentially influential parents, and they don't want that looked into. But let me know down below what you think. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, and I'll catch you all in the next one.